Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by Virginia Farm Bureau. Farmers across the state are planting their summer crops. Asparagus is a great vegetable for beginning gardeners to plant. And young farmers are facing the same struggles as other young families, plus some unique challenges. Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're here at a vegetable farm in Louisa County, Virginia, and later we're going to talk about growing asparagus. Spring is finally here, and Norm Hyde reports that Virginia farmers are busy planting a wide variety of crops.
Virginia is not a national leader in raising any single farm commodity, but agriculture is still the state's largest economic sector thanks to the wide diversity of crops and livestock raised here. Farmers in the Old Dominion raise everything from apples to zucchini, and different crops are planted year-round. But spring is when things get really busy, especially for corn growers.
We need to look at the planter and see if it has any wear on it. You know, certain parts may need replacing. You want to make sure everything is accurate when you plant the corn, and you got certain depths, certain settings you have on the planter, make sure everything's working. A lot of electronics on the planter, you know. It's pretty complex.
Ryan Ellis, his father and grandfather farm 4,000 acres of land they own and rent in eastern Virginia. They started planting corn at the very beginning of April, as soon as the soil warmed to the right temperature. But they've been planning this year's crop for months.
Take soil samples back in the fall and see what you need, you know, what the requirements are for different crops and what you have to put out for each crop on each field. And so we've been working on putting out lime and fertilizer, granular fertilizer, on the fields before planting, and we've got some that we'll do, that, you know, if we haven't gotten to them, we'll do them after planting if we have to.
The top 4 farm commodities in Virginia are poultry, cattle, dairy, and tobacco. Soybeans, corn, hay, vegetables, cotton, fruit, pork, and nursery products are also big players in the ag economy. Virginia corn growers are expected to plant about 480,000 acres this year, 10,000 acres less than in 2016. Soybean plantings could increase 10,000 acres to 620,000 acres this year. Nationwide, soybean supplies from previous crops are down, while corn supplies are up. Whether it's soybeans or corn, Ellis says Virginia growers take extra measures to protect the environment from unwanted runoff.
Buffers around waterways and grass strips, stuff like that for filtering. And then as far as when we're spraying and putting out fertilizer, you know, you don't want to put out any more than you have to, because the more you have there, it's more likely that it can leach off into your water, and so we kind of try to do the minimum as far as when we're spraying is, you know, gallons per acre.
Other grain crops raised in Virginia include barley, oats, and winter wheat. All 3 of those are typically planted in the fall, go fallow over the winter, and are harvested in the spring. So it's not uncommon for some growers to be planting corn one day and harvesting wheat a few weeks later. Pick-your-own strawberries are also planted in the fall and overwinter. Vegetable crops are usually started in greenhouses in the winter, as are tobacco plants, and then transplanted in the spring. Flowers, shrubs, and other greenhouse plants can be started anytime and moved outside when ready. Peanut and cotton crops are planted in the spring. Ellis says if you're planting row crops, you must understand and use computer programs and satellite technology.
Now we have GPS on the tractors, you know, for guidance, and then you have GPS on the combine to record yield when you're cutting everything, and GPS on the sprayer, you know, guidance for that. It's a whole lot different than it was 10 years ago, that's for sure.
It's not uncommon to work from sunup to well after dark during corn planting season. Ellis says as a fourth-generation farmer, it's the only job he can imagine doing.
I enjoy it very much. It's just being able to work for yourself is nice. You know, you have a little bit more freedom there, but at the same time you have responsibilities to, you know, make your own income, and how you do your work, you know, kind of decides that.
Whether it's corn or one of a dozen other crops, Ellis shares the work ethic that drives thousands of Virginia farmers to start planting in the spring, with the hope of a good harvest come the fall. In Essex County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. Global positioning systems date back to the early days of satellites. The U.S. military began using satellites to track submarine locations in the mid-1960s. Today, 24 satellites orbit the Earth in precise positions, allowing civilian receivers to accurately track the exact location of tractors and planters on farm fields. When you combine the high accuracy of GPS locations with computer histories of crop yields, it's possible to fine-tune exactly how many seeds are needed to plant a field, as well as how much fertilizer is needed for a healthy crop.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about how to grow asparagus in the home garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
More than 90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made a promise to our local farmers to protect and preserve a way of life they'd worked so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member and enjoy the many benefits of membership. There's a local Farm Bureau in every county of the state. We think everyone should be a friend of the farm. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com to learn more.
Asparagus is one of the first vegetables you can harvest from the garden each spring. And Chris Mullins has discovered that asparagus is easy to grow from the ground up.
Well, can you grow asparagus in the home garden? I think you can. And today we're here at Hill Farm with Susan Hill. She's the owner and operator here. Susan, can asparagus be a good one for the home gardener?
I think it's one of the best crops that you can do as a home gardener. It's low maintenance, high yielding,
Excellent.
and a perennial. When you start it, you've got 15 or 20 years.
We're in Louisa County, Virginia. A lot of clay soils here, and I've noticed you're growing your asparagus in a raised bed. What's in this bed?
Well, what's in this bed is we started with a tobacco farm
Okay.
with clay soil.
Right.
So in order to get around that, because this is a sea vegetable, you have to have very loose soil.
Okay.
Okay? So we put 30% compost, 70% soil.
Right.
Put the blocks around it to keep it contained.
Okay.
Keep the soil in, and then we plant it in that.
And it does much better in here than it would the native soils around here.
We can't compete with the weeds, and it can't come up in the clay.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, how did you plant these? What's the method that you got these started? These are kind of an older planting.
These are about 5 years old.
Okay, okay. So you used crowns?
Yeah, we used crowns in this particular bed, and we make a ditch about 8 to 12 inches deep.
Okay.
And you set the crown in there, you spread it out, set the crown, and then fill as it starts to grow.
Okay.
Until it gets totally filled.
I gotcha. And that's what time of the year? Is that early spring?
February, March.
February, March. Okay. So you put those in, and now that'll come up, and you'll get spears that first year, maybe?
You'll get some spears the first year, about June.
Okay. Should they harvest those?
I would do it very lightly if I did it all.
Okay.
Depends on the age of the roots that you're putting in.
I gotcha. And then, but the following year when they come
Following
up
year,
again,
you can start picking. They say that the next year pick 2 weeks. What we're doing here is we did these from seed.
Okay.
Beds are quite expensive to start.
Right.
And they're also bringing some disease from other farms.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we raised these from seed. For $3.99, I got 100 seeds. We're going to fertilize these all winter. We're going to overwinter them.
Okay.
And we're going to plant them in February. And we have 1-year-old crowns.
Oh, great. That's perfect. That's a lot less expensive to start
The main
from.
thing is that you can't continually transplant these, so start in a little bit bigger container.
Okay, so a couple ways to get them planted. Now, I've noticed this bed is about 8 foot by 8 foot. How many crowns would you plant in this, do you think?
I think this is about 25, and this is perfect for a family of 4.
Oh, good. Okay.
Perfect size for a family of 4.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's great, because I know your bigger commercial beds out there are quite a bit longer. Now, what are the maintenance issues? What do you have to do, watering, fertilization on asparagus throughout the season?
Asparagus is a sea vegetable. It needs to be watered every day.
Okay.
If you're going to get good production, don't let the beds dry out. We put little molasses on it. Is good for it because it gets the microbes going.
Okay.
And then in the fall, we're going to be putting alfalfa pellets all over this whole thing to feed over the winter, and sometimes you can even mulch with straw over that.
Oh, right.
And the only problem with that is you could get asparagus beetles with it.
I see. I see.
Your pest issue is asparagus beetles.
Asparagus beetles, okay.
But if you look at their life cycle, they lay their eggs in this tip.
Right.
And then those eggs hatch in, I think, 4 or 5 days. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
So if you pick every day, you're literally picking your pest off.
Oh, I see.
If you let it go, it's going to drop to the ground.
Okay. So that's another thing. Just keep them harvested
Just keep them
regularly.
harvested. These right here are harvested once or twice a day.
Excellent. Excellent. Wow. Well, those are beautiful asparagus, and let's go look and see how you cut them right now.
Okay. You're going to cut it down at the soil level.
Okay.
Okay. You want to make sure that your tip is nice and firm.
Okay.
So don't let them spread out. And then we don't want ones that are open too much.
I see.
It's not going to can well or taste well.
So when
if
they're
you do
tight
that,
in
they
here.
should be very tight at the top when you do that. And as soon as you pick them, you need to put them in water
Okay.
and store them in a cool place.
In a cool place inside.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, this is just a beautiful little operation you've got here. Thanks so much for letting us come out today and talk to you about asparagus.
Thank you. Everybody should plant asparagus.
That's right. Well, for more information about asparagus production, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Chicken and rice is a staple dish in most family recipes. Chef Maxwell gives it a spicy twist next, in the heart of the home.
From our farms to your table. Virginia dairy farm families are dedicated to providing your family with nutritious, high-quality milk.
I'm Dan Myers, a fifth-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Roy Vanderhyde, a first-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Gerald Heatwool, a third-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I am dedicated to dairy, my cows,
My milk.
And our land.
Just about every home cook has prepared a chicken and rice dish. Chef John Maxwell puts a Caribbean twist on this family favorite next, in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. You're in the heart of the home with Chef John Maxwell. And today we're going to play with some classic Virginia products. We're going to make arroz con pollo. Oh, I know that's not a Virginia recipe, but it uses a lot of Virginia products. So we're going to make a chicken and rice in a Spanish or Caribbean style. Not a hot one. There's not any hot peppers in here, but it's going to be really tasty. So we're going to start by getting our cast iron skillet good and hot. I'm going to take the chicken, and I've got this parts that I cut from whole chicken. That's the least expensive. The most economical way to buy chicken is to buy a whole chicken and then cut the parts down from it. But I don't want to take the time in the show to show you how to do that. If you want to go to my website, there's a video on how to fabricate a chicken. You're welcome to get that. Now I've got my secret spice. The actual ingredients in here are available on the website, so you can go up there and look and see how much of each. And it's some cayenne pepper, some black pepper. Just gonna roll this around, let it set for a minute, add my oil to the pan. You get the pan hot, add the oil to the hot pan, and then we're gonna add the food to that. So, and all we want to do here is brown these chicken pieces. We don't want to rush putting the chicken in there because the cold chicken going into the hot oil will lower the temperature of the oil. So we want to just kind of be deliberate about this. All right, so we're going to let that brown a little bit. It's going to take 5 minutes or so. Okay, this is started to brown. I know it's started to brown because it's not stuck. All right, I can look and see it's done. I'm going to take it out of the pan now, but first thing I'm going to do is reduce the heat in the pan, because as soon as I take this chicken out, which still has a cold center, the hot pan is going to get really, really hot very, very fast. So I don't want that to happen. So out comes the chicken. I'm putting it in this side pan for now. Now I'm going to add garlic here. Can't have a decent arroz con pollo without garlic. Let that spin around there. Start to brown off a little bit. Now I'm going to add the onions. And if you're interested in exactly how many onions, just go to the website. The recipe is up there with all the list of ingredients. Okay, these are starting to brown off nice. I'm going to add rice. And I'm going to stir that around so that all the rice gets coated nicely. And once it gets to that point, we're going to add our peppers. 2 kinds, red and green. So now that we've got all that rice coated, browned, the vegetables are starting to soften nicely. I'm going to add some tomatoes. And I'm just using canned diced tomatoes. I'm not going to add the juice though, just going to add the tomatoes. All right. And I'm going to add some chicken stock to cook the rice. Now, we don't have to wait for the rice to cook to add our chicken back in. So we're going to let that come up to a boil, and then as soon as it comes back up to a boil, we're going to add the chicken. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it. And a little bit of black pepper. Not too much, because it's got some back of the throat heat already. All right. Now that that's working, I'm going to take the chicken pieces and just lay them around on this. Get them in there so that they're sitting on the rice. All right. And now it just needs to cook. So we're just going to let it sit there and simmer. It's going to take about 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, well, it looks like we're just about there. The chicken looks cooked. The vegetables are nice and still colorful. The rice is bubbling up here. Looks like it's about done. So I'm going to get ready here and cut some garnish. I'm going to mince a few of these chives I got out of my garden this morning. All right. We'll sprinkle that over the top of it. Then I'm going to take a couple of these this parsley, put it in the top, and there we go. Arroz con pollo, Caribbean style. Gonna give you a little heat in the back of the throat and a warm feeling in your tummy.
Every week, we make recipes using great Virginia-grown food. We make them in our kitchen so you can make them in your kitchen. Join us next week on Heart of the Home when we get to play with more great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on Chef Maxwell's website, chefjohnmaxwell.com. The poultry industry is the top farm sector in Virginia, and broiler chickens are an important part of that economic engine. Virginia chicken growers produced 263 million birds in 2015, worth an estimated $792 million. The Old Dominion's the 9th largest chicken-producing state, and chicken operations are scattered across rural Virginia, with a large concentration on the eastern shore. Most chicken growers are contract producers. They never actually own the birds, just the houses that they're raised in. Growers are paid a set price to raise a flock from chicks to processing.
Today's young farmers face struggles just like any other family. But Dave Miller reports that one award-winning couple in Southside Virginia has unique challenges both on and off the farm.
Chris and Patricia Haskins are in business with Chris's father and keep quite busy on the 800 acres they use to raise tobacco and hay. They also own 180 brood cows and grow flue-cured and burley tobacco, some for biofuel and paper products. Each spring, their greenhouse can be seen packed with almost 300,000 young tobacco plants waiting to go into the field. And Patricia works as a large animal vet. All this, and they're raising 2 young preschool boys. It sounds overwhelming, but Chris Haskins says they're actually living their dream.
I've always had some cattle growing up, but as far as our operation expanding, that was in 2004. We greatly increased our volume of flue-cured production, and then in 2006 I started growing a non-traditional crop of burley tobacco here. And it's just like growing up, I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to do what he wanted to do. And I'm just blessed now because not only am I able to live that dream, but I'm able to farm with my dad and see him every day and see my family every day.
As the veterinarian in the family, Patricia Haskins cares for the cattle. She's always examining them, identifying cows that aren't breeding back as they should or having calving difficulties, or checking to see if they are pregnant so they can weed out non-productive cows.
Balance is a very difficult thing. A lot of times there's a lot of give and take. So balancing the kids, and Chris is a good help. I mean, he helps me out a lot. If I need to go to like a continuing education meeting for my veterinary work, he has to kind of work things around on the farm. It's just a give and take though, because at the same time, I have to give up some stuff if he needs to be on the farm, you know, during harvest season. So it is a constant fluctuation.
Finding that balance between a successful family life and successful farm operation is one reason the Haskins were a national runner-up in the American Farm Bureau Federation's Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award earlier this year.
You know, I'm 34, I'll be 35. I've been blessed. We've made a profit here. Of course, there's good days, there's bad days on the farm, just like with any operation. It's just life. It's life. But the one thing that I try to strive to do now more than ever, since I have a family, I'm married and I have two small boys, I hope they will partake some type of agriculture job, but if not, I'm going to leave that up to them. But any kind of decisions that I make on this farm, I try to do so as if this farm is going to be here forever.
The Haskins say the process of applying for the AFBF award, putting their farm goals on paper, networking with other young farmers, and help from the County Farm Bureau have all contributed to their success so far.
My favorite thing is just the tradition and the family heritage and family bonding. My family had, my grandparents had a small, just, you know, a couple cattle. We had some ducks, some pigs, a geese. I had a rooster, and, you know, but we all got together and worked them and fed, and just that family bonding time. And I know being on this farm, Chris is a 4th generation farmer, and I love seeing my kids' grandfather interacting with them. They love being on the farm. He's teaching them about life, you know, managing the earth. It's just heartwarming. It's just seeing all that heritage from the years passed down.
The AFBF award was more than just national recognition. The Haskins received a Case IH Farmall 50A tractor, a cash award, and Steel farm equipment, all gear designed to make it easier to live their dream of raising a family on their farm. In Pittsylvania County, this is Dave Miller.
We're glad you could join us this week to celebrate the bounty that Virginia has to offer, from the kitchen to your home and garden to the beautiful wide open spaces. We are proud to say that this is real Virginia. From everyone here at the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for joining us, and make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.